Am I the antagonist for telling my sister I won't be inviting her to my wedding because I don't agree with her choice of +1? My sister, who recently turned 28 years old, and I, a 28-year-old male who will be 29 next month, are half-siblings who were raised by our mother but have different fathers. Our childhood was not a good one, and our relationship has always been complicated. The biggest reason for this is how bad our mother was and the toxic environment we were raised in. Additionally, the men our mother would bring to meet us sometimes showed more interest in me than her, which made my sister jealous. There were also some troubling actions by our mother involving our fathers that created further issues. Since we never knew these men, our mother easily manipulated us as children for her own entertainment. During my teenage years, I wasn't a great person. I had many girlfriends and had a reputation for not treating them well. One particular ex, Emily, and I dated for 2 months before I ended things because I wanted to pursue someone else. However, Emily became more attached to me than the others, and I handled the situation poorly, being cruel when rejecting her attempts to reconcile for the following year until graduation. One significant factor that helped me mature and become a better person was my sister reconnecting with our grandparents and introducing us to caring individuals. Additionally, maturing during college and self-realization led me to understand that I am bisexual, with a stronger attraction to men. Part of my struggles stemmed from the self-hatred instilled by my mother's homophobia. Eventually, I fell in love with an amazing guy. About a year ago, my sister befriended Emily, and she brought her to dinner at our grandparents' house while my fiancé and I were present. Emily was upset to see me and expressed her anger towards me, leading our grandparents to ask her to leave due to her behavior. My sister was displeased with our grandparents' decision and continued to stay in touch with Emily. Despite my attempts to apologize, Emily has tried to contact me and my fiancé since the dinner. Recently, I learned that my sister planned to bring Emily as her +1 to my wedding. I expressed my discomfort with this choice, but my sister insisted that it was her decision. This disagreement escalated into me telling my sister that she would not be invited to the wedding. In response, my sister criticized my behavior, likening it to my past actions, and deeming it unfair not to invite her over her choice of +1. Am I the asshole in this situation? Not the antagonist. Your sister should understand the history here and the potential for unnecessary drama if Emily attends. It's baffling that she would even want to bring that to your wedding day. And to completely disregard your feelings about who gets invited as a +1 is just plain disrespectful. Plus, having a homophobe at a wedding between 2 men is a big no-no. It's been a long time since your teens, and ending things with someone back then should not be a reason for such intense anger and biphobia. Your wedding day should be about celebrating love, not dealing with unnecessary drama. Am I the antagonist for pulling out of a band and avoiding all the band members? I, 22 years old female, and 4 of my friends, let's call them Viv, K, CJ, and Nick, formed a band when we were around 15-16 years old. Viv's dad had seen our talent and gave us the idea to start a band and even bought instruments. He fully supported us, helping us practice, and through connections with some of his pals, got us opportunities to play publicly. Recently, Viv's dad passed away, and we all decided to continue the band in his honor. At first, everything was okay. We continued playing out as usual, still practicing. Nick and I even wrote a song together to honor Viv's dad. Then suddenly, Viv stopped showing up to practice. I considered that they were still grieving over their dad. A month had passed, and still there was no sign of Viv. When I called, I was told that they were busy. I didn't think anything of it, as they continued to ask about what the band was doing in their absence. One day, we had learned that a more well-known band had pulled out of a concert, and we were going to play instead. We were ecstatic. With this chance, we could gain more recognition. Everyone continued practicing, still no Viv. Finally, the day of the concert arrived, and I was driving to the place where the concert was being held, a 3-hour drive. I was 3/4 of the way there when my phone rang. It was Viv's mom telling me that the rest of the group had decided not to go. Shocked, I told her that I was almost there, and it was unprofessional for us to cancel last minute. She had told me that Viv decided not to go and told the rest of the group not to as well. I pulled over near a gas station to recollect my thoughts and immediately asked to talk to Viv. I asked them why they would cancel last minute and tell everyone not to go too. Viv said it was their call whether or not we went to the concert. I pointed out that they didn't tell me this and told them that I was almost there, to which Nick, probably in the room, responded, "Well, that's her problem if she left already." I was horrified when I heard this, as I had been friends with these people for 16 years. I pleaded with them to at least show up to the concert to be professional, and that we could talk about this afterward. CJ took the phone, told me to go with myself, and hung up. When I went home that night, I cried in my bedroom for hours. Eventually, I realized that these people were unprofessional and immature, and that the group would not be beneficial for my goals. Yesterday, I called Viv's mom to tell her I was pulling out of the group. Viv's mom understood and didn't try to stop me. I have blocked the rest of the group on all social media. My sister told me that I was an for just pulling out and not even waiting to speak with Viv. I feel guilty for pulling out of the group and refusing to talk to the rest of the band, but I really needed to get out of that space and clear my head. But I am unsure if I should have just pulled out unannounced. Am I the asshole? not the antagonist. Regardless of how the band started, you don't need Viv's permission to play a gig she didn't want to be a part of. The other people in the band showed Viv called you or shown up. Sounds like you're better off without them. The fact that your friends didn't even care about how you were already close to the concert shows how terrible they are. Am I the antagonist for leaving my best friend's wedding early? I, 25 years old female, left my best friend's, 22 years old female, wedding early and now she isn't talking to me. My best friend had a destination wedding. I was a bridesmaid along with 2 friends. Both of them bailed due to the cost of traveling. On the day of the wedding, we got to the venue hours before the wedding was set to begin to offer help and support. When we arrived, my friend was getting her makeup done and everything was set up. She told me to get changed while she finished. I have a pretty intense disability. I have severe chronic pains and struggle with standing or walking for more than a few minutes at a time, especially without good shoes. If I know I'll be walking a lot, I use a walker to help with the pain. I didn't bring it to the wedding to make room in my car for our bags. Before changing, I asked when to put on my heels. I knew I would only last a few minutes in them before the pain started. I informed her I didn't bring my walker and was worried about being in my heels for too long, and asked if there was somewhere I could sit after changing to be off my feet. She told me to change into then sit down with my boyfriend outside, and she'd let me know when I was needed. For the ceremony, I was the last one of the wedding party to walk down the aisle, so they sent me as the first to exit. It was an outdoor wedding, so while the walk from the ceremony area back to the building wasn't terribly long, being in heels and the dress I was tripping over was taking a toll on me by then, about 3 hours in the heels. I was struggling so bad that all of the groom's party ended up passing me, and the last one to pass by saw how much I was struggling and laughed at me, which stung. We stayed for photos, which involved more walking from the building back to the ceremony area, and took another 30 minutes of standing. By that point, I was holding on to my boyfriend for support. Once the photographer told me my part in the pictures was over, my boyfriend helped me back to where we'd been sitting, and I broke down crying. We were out of the way to not cause a scene, and the bride and groom were still having photos taken behind the venue. While I was crying, we saw a couple get in their car and leave, so my boyfriend suggested we leave too. My dress was muddy from dragging through the dirt. Everyone else at the event was family, so no one was paying us any mind, and inside the building, the bride and groom had a table set up for the 2 of them, so there wouldn't be empty seats next to them. Given my pains and the state of my dress and makeup, we knew we wouldn't be dancing or making conversation, and we had a long drive home ahead of us the next day, so we left. It's been a few days, and she hasn't responded to any of my messages. Both my and my boyfriend's moms agree it was best we left considering my pain, but others are more split on whether we were in the wrong for leaving. So, am I the asshole for leaving my best friend's wedding early due to the intense pain I was in? I think it's important to consider that not everyone may be fully aware of their needs or how to properly prepare for certain situations. It's possible that the person in this situation genuinely didn't realize the impact wearing heels would have on them during the wedding. Communication and understanding from both sides could have helped prevent this issue. Am I the antagonist for refusing to help out my sibling with their bills? Hi, I am 26 years old, female, and my brother is 22 years old. We both grew up in a conservative family where a man was always given more importance than a woman. When my parents had my brother, they stopped buying me gifts or taking me out to my favorite places on my birthdays. They allowed him to pursue his hobbies, whatever he wanted. On the other hand, I was basically groomed to be a slave to my future husband. They didn't let me do anything of my interest, always making me cook food or clean the house and such. They also didn't allow me to hang out with my friends and basically tried to keep me locked in the house 24/7. My brother also started acting like he was superior to me and always ordered me to do stuff like clean his room, and I would get scolded if I didn't comply. Well, I had enough and ran away from home at 17 to live with my boyfriend. His parents showed me what true parental love was. They helped me finish my education and gave me a part-time job as they had a business that paid well. At no point did they contact me to find out how or where I am. Once I graduated from university, I joined their business full-time, as did my boyfriend. The paycheck was huge, and since they had brains, they also helped me invest a chunk of it to let it grow. I got married to my boyfriend when we were 21, and at the same time his parents retired from the business, and he and I took over. We bought a new home and moved in. I had my daughter at 23, and we basically spent the last 3-4 years growing the business, so it's now at a point where we can take as many vacations as we want in a year, and we are extremely well off. 5 months ago, my brother contacted me via Facebook, asked if I wanted to reconnect, and I agreed hesitantly. Well, what happened when we met was he told me he has a 5-year-old boy and is struggling with debt and bills and asked for help. I felt bad, so I did start helping him by paying for his groceries and even covering 40% of his rent. Last month, we went on a vacation to Spain. We uploaded pics from our trip. He saw them, and when we came back, he basically tried to ambush me in front of my house, saying I could have helped him more, but instead, here I was taking a vacation without breaking a sweat. My husband bombarded him with insults and said we won't be giving him a cent from now on. He left. 3 days ago, he sent me a long and emotional message about how he is struggling to feed his family and how it's unfair I have so much and he has so little. I haven't replied to it yet. This is where I think I could be the I basically agreed to help him financially 5 months ago, and I did, so he got used to it. But when he saw us enjoying with our family, he must have felt jealous or something. And even more so when my husband said we won't help him anymore. So, am I the antagonist here? Sorry for my bad English, it's not my first language. Not the antagonist. It's unfortunate how some family members can try to take advantage of your hard work and success. You and your partner deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor without being guilted into supporting someone who doesn't appreciate it. Your brother's entitled attitude and lack of accountability are clear signs that he's not genuinely interested in reconnecting with you, just in getting money from you. Don't feel obligated to reply to his manipulative messages and continue living your life with your family. You've already gone above and beyond to help him, and it's time to prioritize your own well-being. Am I the antagonist for leaving after someone said I was faking my autism? I, along with 3 friends of mine, went out to meet some friends of one of them, who I and one other person had never met before. Only one of these new people mattered though. Things went well for about 2 hours before one individual noticed I had a fidget toy on my bag. Like one of those fidget cubes, but mine is differently shaped. He was staring at it with a look I would retroactively call annoyance, so I asked him if something was up. He shook his head and said something about how he sees that all the time with annoying kids online, which I found a weird statement. I just replied I use it when I am overwhelmed or overstimulated, adding on that I have autism. To which he replied, "Oh fuck, you're not one of those weirdos who claims to have every disorder ever, are you?" He said it loud enough for everyone to notice, and the other conversation that was going on kinda fell silent. I couldn't really get myself to respond with anything other than a what. I can't remember every word since I was already panicking inside. Have auditory sensory issues, and he talked quite fast, but he seemed to start to rant about people online making content about being autistic and other stuff, about how he thinks everyone is faking nowadays and hurting the real people, that kind of stuff mostly. The other people were mostly silent during this, or at least I didn't notice them. The moment it got too much for me was when he started saying that I was probably also one of them because I made eye contact, willingly went to a gathering of people, and I apparently don't look like a Shan word close, but not quite the R slurred hun, which was the final straw. At that point, I just got up, left the room, and grabbed my car to go home, though when I did so, he started yelling. I spent basically the rest of the evening trying to calm down after what happened hit me, and I became ultra stressed out and overwhelmed. This morning I got a message from the guy who organized this meetup, saying he is sorry that it happened, but also saying that I should have stayed and explained myself, and how me leaving made the guy sure I was faking it, and how their friendship might be in trouble because of me. I know that dude was definitely a jerk, but now I feel like me leaving just made things worse. Not the antagonist, 100% Ochwi. It's frustrating when people feel entitled to invade your privacy and question your health history like that. The guy at the meetup was completely out of line with his inappropriate rant. It's like he was trying to bully you into sharing personal information, and it's even worse when others enable this behavior by pressuring you to apologize instead of holding the real instigator accountable. Stay strong and don't feel like you owe anyone an explanation for being yourself. The disability police really do suck. Am I the antagonist for telling my stepdad that feeding his kids is not my problem and brushing it off when he tried to say they would go hungry? My mother had a major surgery 2 weeks ago. She is still in the hospital and won't be home for another few weeks yet. I am at home with my stepfather and my half-brother and sister since my father isn't in the picture. However, my half-siblings go to our grandparents during the day, and my stepdad picks them up after work. Sometimes he will keep them with our grandparents for a few extra hours if he's visiting mom and such. My stepdad also has 2 kids from his other marriage. His daughter is 11 and his son is 10. My stepdad's kids treat my mom terribly. They are being influenced to act like that by their mother, and my stepdad and her have been in court so many times in the last 5 years. But nothing has changed with their behavior towards mom, and he and his ex still frequently argue about this. His kids call my mom names, say she feeds them poorly, tell her she's unattractive, and they gag whenever they know she cooked for everyone. It's disgusting. They told my mom that their mom is better than her in every way, and she'll never be good. My stepdad punishes them and all, but it's shocking how hateful they are towards mom. They are also very rude to mom's family. I don't really have any affection or patience for them, so we don't interact. But mom receives a lot of their negativity. When my mom was brought to the hospital, they said, "Good, we hope she dies." My stepdad looked incredibly angry at them, and I acknowledge he intervened immediately. All of this makes me want nothing to do with them, and I'm relieved when they're not at our house. I really dislike them. My stepdad wants me to feed his kids regardless. He gets home late and doesn't want to pay for them to stay with a sitter for an hour or two. He also doesn't want to send them to their mother, which I understand. So he wants me to provide some food for them, and I said no. He told me his kids need to eat, and I said it's not my problem and he doesn't want me in charge of his kids ever. He told me they'll go hungry without someone to prepare something, and I said, so what? He told me my attitude could use some work. He said he needs my help and he's sorry they said what they did, but I need to understand that their mom has influenced them so negatively. He told me it won't be forever, and I already make myself food, so can't I make some extra? Am I the asshole? Your stepdad needs to make sure there's food that's easy for the kids to grab while your mom is in the hospital. It's important that everyone has access to food. Instant ramen, sandwich fixings, or microwave meals are great options. This way, no one goes hungry, and you won't be burdened with cooking every night. Not the antagonist, this is something the adults should handle without putting it on you. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.